Hey everybody, Jeppy here, and today we're going to find every agent rivalry here in Valorant and why. Some of these agents today, as you'll see, pretty much just despise everything about another agent, and that's why there's a rivalry, while others compete against each other to, sort of like one-up each other. But regardless if they hate each other or not, if there's rivals in any way, we're going to talk about it today. So where to start? Should we first start with the classic Reyna and Viper rivalry that just got a brand new twist in recently with a lore update? Yeah, I think we can get the obvious one out of the way first before we move into the rivalries you guys may not have even known about. So of course, as most lore nerds like you watching this video and me making this video already know, Viper and Reyna pretty much hate each other. End of story. Well, actually no. In fact, this story has moved away from the traditional just hating each other that everyone thought it was for so long now. It has now moved into a sort of reliance on each other. See, we always thought that Reyna had a deep hatred for Viper because of a player card with Viper walking a young Lucia, which is actually Reyna's little sister, into a kingdom lab. Now, we all know that the words of Viper and lab, when used together, you can best believe another word would be used along with that: experiment. I also guess torture can also be another word used with that. So it was always assumed that when we heard Reyna's
"for you, hermanita,"
which means for you, sister, that it meant Reyna's little sister died at the hands of Viper, likely with experiments and whatnot. But it turns out, with the new voicemail sent to Brimstone from Viper not too long ago, that Reyna's sister is alive, but barely. So as it turns out, Reyna has been collecting souls from people she kills on missions to not only feed herself, but for Lucia to feed as well, her little sister. And Viper has been helping her do that by splitting the souls Reyna collected into two so that they can both feed. So now we know that the player card has sparked so many awful theories of what Viper did to her so long ago was actually the experiments Viper was doing to actually save Lucia. So it's cool to me that the rivalry that was pretty much the most well-known in the Valorant community, even for people who didn't really know the lore very much, has moved into something different. Granted, if Viper is no longer able to keep Lucia alive, I can guarantee that Reyna will go off the deep end, and it's something Viper actually predicted and said to Brimstone in that same voicemail. So there is that which we need to look out for. Sorry guys, I ran much longer than I expected to tell this story. I apologize. Let's move into agents that blatantly just don't like each other, and that's going to be Breach and Brimstone. Another layer to this story, just like the Reyna and Viper one, has recently been expanded on in Valorant's lore, with another voicemail sent to Brimstone, but this time it was Ray's. She tells him to ease up on Breach and that everyone can always hear them arguing, Breach and Brim. Breach thinks Brimstone is a corporate sellout.
Brimstone, the corporate sellout. Here to look out for Kingdom's special interests.
You don't know what you're talking about, Breach.
And funny enough, Brim thinks that all Breach is just a jackass.
Jackass.
Now, who knows if they'll ever resolve their differences soon or not, but it does look like Raze is trying to get them to start making amends so that the work environment probably isn't so toxic anymore. Do you guys want to hear another rivalry? Me and the subscriber to non-subscriber ratio. I've been staring at this 12% number for a while now, just wishing it would stop slapping me in the face. If you are an OG or someone new to the channel, help your boy out, would ya? With a cute sub so I can finally win this rivalry between me and the number 12. All right, let's hit up another rivalry where these agents definitely don't hate each other at all. It's more like a playful banter of expertise and information. Those two agents are going to be Cypher and Fade. So surprisingly, there really isn't anyone on the protocol that has a problem with the Fade. Jet had a bit of an issue with Brimstone offering her a position on the protocol, but I feel like that's all water under the bridge now, which is funny if you ask me, with how long Fade was blackmailing everyone for a while. But with Fade and Cypher's rivalry, I'd say it started with the interrogation Cypher did to her once they captured Fade, earlier. But like I said, they don't hate each other or anything, but I'm sure Cypher is going to attempt to try and up his surveillance and information gathering game, considering it looks like Fade may do a better job at that now, well in the lore. Let's check out another rivalry that is more on a personal level. These two agents fight over which is more important and powerful, radiance powers, or technology? Of course, I'm talking about Reyna and Killjoy. Now, we all know that Reyna hates technology. We all know that. While Killjoy eats, breathes, and sleeps tech.
Killjoy is an offense to my radiance. I'll break her apart.
There may also be a little bit of a personal backstory with Reyna and Killjoy's tech. We still don't know what Reyna is talking about when she says this voice line coming up, but it sounds like Killjoy hurt her, or at least her machines did in some way in her past.
I remember the machines Killjoy made. What they did to... Never mind. It does not matter.
So it's no wonder with the aggressive and passive-aggressive nature Reyna is to KJ that even KJ recognizes that Reyna may in fact hate her.
It always feels like Reyna is after me personally. Does anyone else feel that way? No? Just me?
Eventually, I'd like to know more about why Reyna hates Killjoy's machine so much and what they did to hurt her. I'm sure we'll get that story update sometime in the future. Well, at least I hope so. Wow, here we go again with another agent having beef with Reyna. I swear, is there like any other agent on the protocol that has more people that like don't like them as Reyna? Like, is it Viper? Is it Breach? Like, Reyna has to be the agent that like, half the people don't, like. Well, moving on, here's another story of Astra and Reyna's rivalry. This one is definitely not just a playful rivalry to like one-up each other. This is a full-blown hatred and disgust, pretty much only originating from Astra's point of view. She calls Reyna a creature and how she wants her to stay in her lane, pretty much not to bother her at all.
Waste that Reyna creature. End her. Reyna, just stay in your lane, yawa girl.
Now, we don't know the reason on why Astra has such a, like a distaste for Reyna and to be even in her presence. Perhaps there's more to this story. Now, from what I can tell, Reyna doesn't seem to have a problem at all with Astra, so I'm not sure what happened there. Do you guys have any theories? I, of course, had to mention that Skye literally hates Viper's guts. Again, no playful one-upping each other rivalry here. Full-on hatred mode activated. This one hits home for Skye, as we all know she is one with nature. Everything about her, from her upbringings on a farm next to a wildlife reservation to her radiant powers that are clearly animal themed, she loves the great outdoors and will do everything to protect it. So when Viper's entire kit is loaded with toxic gadgets that I'm sure are not up to the EPA standards of protecting the environment, there is bound to be some issues there.
I can't believe they're Vipers dumping all that shit in the air. I'll kill her.
I mean, Skye isn't the only one that is like kind of weary with the way Viper just throws around toxic gas everywhere.
Viper, watch those toxins this time. Not breathing in that crap again.
So, unless Viper makes a more Earth-friendly version of her poisons to kill people, I'm sure Skye will continue to pretty much hate her. Another quick rivalry is between Phoenix and Yoru. I actually think that Phoenix and Yoru are like kind of friends, but not so much as like they'd hang out all the time and chill out and like love each other or anything, but it's more of a constant banter of egos and sarcasm kind of friendship. Like they were constantly talking during the retake cinematic and like bantering around and being sarcastic, and especially at the end when we can see Yoru messing with Phoenix. They always compete to see who will get more kills during a match in Valorant 2.
Okay, Yoru, right here, right now. We'll see who's the better shot.
Fine, but I'll keep score.
Another agent that Yoru seems to have like a little rivalry with is Skye. But do you guys get like these little flirting vibes between Yoru and Skye? Like it kind of seems like Yoru might be flirting with Skye.
Hey, Flower Girl, I found some leaves. Do you want them?
I've got enough, thanks. But call me Flower Girl again, I'll break your nose.
So it doesn't seem like it much there, but check out this voice line.
Skye, that was... that was pretty good.
Kinda seems like he was a little nervous to say that, don't you think? It's funny because I wouldn't have pictured Skye being the person Yoru would have liked. We'll see if Riot develops this story further, but the reason why I said there was like a little rivalry, because you know how sometimes when people like each other and they're kind of like mean, but in a flirty manner? That's what I meant by that. Let's wrap up with a couple quick voice lines of some agents throwing shade at each other. Yoru doesn't really like Breach at all and thinks he's quite annoying.
It's impressive what Breach can do when he shuts up for a second. I already hear that Breach running his mouth. Don't tell me you'll punch me. Just punch me.
Sova still doesn't like Cypher and thinks that he can't be trusted due to how much he guards his secrets.
I'm done with Cypher's secrets. Goodbye, Cypher. You will not be missed.
All right, let's end off with a classic one. It's a good trifecta story between Viper, Sage, and Omen. Of course, we know that something happened to Omen, likely during an experiment where Viper was involved. Omen died and Viper reached out to Sage to save him. She was able to sort of regain his consciousness, but Omen lost the vast majority of his memories and now lives in a suit of hell that is barely able to contain his power inside of him to keep him alive. It's a classic, with Viper presenting Sage because of that, and she makes it very, very clear. No matter what Sage does to offer help, Viper shuts it down. I wonder if it's just because of the Omen incident, or is Viper upset or maybe even jealous that she was no longer Brim's second in command and was replaced with Sage.
Sage, you're the only one who can keep us alive. Don't fail us now like you failed me then.
Viper, have you thought about my offer? You don't have to.
Never, ever assume you can help me. You can't help me. You can't help them.
Here's another voice line that I actually don't think I ever heard before. Viper says this when killing an enemy Sage as the last.
That's payback, Sage.
Ooh, you love to see it. Well, everyone, let me know if there are any agent rivalries I missed. I'm sure I accidentally skipped a few just to keep the video short. If you enjoyed the video, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe notifications if you're new. Now, with all that being said, Jeppy out.